Hello, welcome to White Birch Tarot and Astrology. This reading is for the new moon in Sagittarius, which occurs on Friday, December 19th, here in the States anyway, at 8:43 p.m. Eastern Time. I will timestamp for the tarot reading. I'm going to do the astrology first. There's a lot of it, and I'm going to start out with a quick quote from someone named Colin Wilson, who said, "Imagination should be used not to escape reality, but to create it." Okay, that sounds good. So, where to start? There's a lot going on. Okay, so the new moon is in Sagittarius, which is ruled by Jupiter. And Jupiter is currently in Cancer, where Jupiter is exalted, which means it's his favorite place to be, okay? Or it's a good place for him to be. So I will just start here, and I will say that the sun and moon are together, of course, because it's a new moon, so we have a few nights of darkness. 28 degrees of Sagittarius, which I read is the galactic center. I knew that, but I don't know much about that, so I kind of forget about it. I know that's important because it's the center of our galaxy, so I'm assuming that gives some extra power to this new moon. Now I'm making more shadows than, this is actually daylight. I'm doing this during the day. For once, I was trying to get rid of the shadows, but it's worse, okay? So we have the sun and moon, and interestingly, if you remember the last full moon we had in Gemini, the sun and moon were flanked by Venus and Mars. Well, guess what? They're flanked by Venus and Mars again, and exactly, they're exactly 4 degrees. Venus is here at 24 degrees of Sagittarius, and Mars is here at 3 degrees of Capricorn. That's very interesting. They're all together here. So most of the personal planets here, and here's Mercury at 10 degrees of Sag. And he's interestingly squaring the nodes, which I will talk about. But anyway, so we have 4 planets very close together here, or 4 objects. And they're all squaring this Neptune-Saturn conjunction, which in Pisces, which we've talked about many times and isn't going away until 2026. So, well, actually it doesn't go away. They just move into Aries. So, the key word, I think, to me, for the new moon in Sagittarius, to me, the key word for Sagittarius is always hope. And Sagittarius brings in adventure, a sense of adventure. It wants meaning and purpose, and, it looks to make connections between things. It rules the mind kind of in a way, but not the Mercury kind of mind. It's more the Jupiter kind of mind. So it's broader perspective. It's meaning rather than just, Gemini wants the facts. Gemini's up here. Uranus is in Gemini. Gemini wants the facts, just the facts, ma'am. It was an old show we had here. And Sagittarius is like, yeah, but what does it mean? What do I do with it? How do I incorporate that into my purpose? It likes expansion and growth and travel and new experiences. But when this new moon is squaring Saturn and Neptune at this very karmic end of the zodiac in Pisces, it's more about listening than it is about doing. So we're getting prepared for the adventure, but we're not going on it just yet. Although we're taking small steps because Mars is now in Capricorn, which is ruled by Saturn here. So, so this is it's kind of like you sort of test your visions. It's like a litmus test. You test your visions against reality, which is Saturn, and your inner truth, which is Neptune. So it's about faith and having hope for the future, and trusting that you may not feel like you're on the right path because you're a little confused right now, as we all are, but trusting that you are. And and as I said, Mercury here in Sagittarius also is squaring the nodes of fate. Here's the South Node in Virgo. Here's the North Node in Pisces. So we're being asked to kind of move toward faith, move what's best for all of it, towards what's best for all of us, move toward forgiveness, unconditional love, seeing everything as one, just faith. And then moving away from having to know the details and wanting everything to be perfect and wanting control. But when he's squaring both of these, I should say they, because Mercury's a hermaphrodite, it's kind of like, it's kind of like we're betwixt and between. And I know I've been saying that a lot, but we just are for a while. Things will move forward in 2026, but we're moving, but it's more in an incorporating and integrating energies way than making things happen in the outer, although this will affect the outer. So it's kind of like, well, the old way isn't working, but I don't really see the new way yet either. It doesn't seem to be working either. Well, it will. We just have to give it some time. We also have Venus here in Sagittarius in a trine, which is a very easily flowing energy, with Chiron, the wounded healer, in Aries. So we're getting some self-compassion, hopefully, and maybe even compassion from others about our where we've been wounded. And I think this is kind of a strong point for us these days. We can use this, and I say that because Black Moon Lilith, which is the dark feminine, like the part of us that's been shamed, that's been hidden. When I say feminine, you don't have to be a woman or lean that way, whatever. It's the receptive part of us that wasn't accepted. And she is in a trine, which is, actually she's in a grand water trine between Jupiter in Cancer, Black Moon Lilith in Scorpio, and Saturn and Neptune in Pisces. So there's this easily flowing energy where the shadows come up from the underworld. She's at the last degree of Scorpio, who rules the personal subconscious. Things come up, long hidden, maybe old things that you felt ashamed about. And they come in here to be strengthened and purified and, accepted, and then nurtured by Jupiter in Cancer, the mother energy ruled by the moon. And again, Jupiter is the ruler of this new moon because he rules Sagittarius, so he's very important here. So we have this easily flowing energy. There's healing here. There's emotional healing going on with this grand water trine. And then we have these two smaller grand trines here with the outer planets that we've talked about a lot. But and Uranus is opposite Black Moon Lilith. So there could be a sudden, and sorry, I interrupted myself again. Uranus is retrograde at 20 degrees of Taurus. So there could be something kind of like a sudden change, and it will manifest in the physical because Uranus is in Taurus. So it's a subconscious thing, like an old memory or a feeling or something that has to do with where you were shamed or not accepted. And it comes out in your body, I think, and maybe even your outer world, because it's Taurus. I'm thinking the body. And it could be just kind of an unexpected thing. Things on your physical body could change suddenly, maybe a health change, hopefully a healing, but something comes up to be healed and integrated. And let's see, what else do we have going on? As if that's not enough. There's a lot going on. So to me, I can't say the most important, and we have a square. Did I already talk about that? Between Jupiter retrograde in Cancer and Chiron retrograde in Aries. So they are facing off, and there's this wanting to be nurtured where you've been hurt, and that's okay. Just listen to what it's trying to tell you. What are your wounds trying to tell you, and can you allow them to be expressed, felt, and nurtured, maybe just nurtured by yourself, if you don't have anybody else to. Well, gosh, I started out and I wasn't croaky, and I thought, good, because it's not 4:30 in the morning. I'm actually doing this in the middle of the day. Yay! But I haven't been sleeping well, so there's that. I don't know what's going on, but perhaps it's something to do with this Uranus and Taurus. I don't know. So there's a lot going on here. And the cards that I pulled, I think, reflect that. Let's see, am I missing anything? So, Galactic Center, Grand Water Trine. And let's see, Black Moon Lilith moves into Sagittarius on the 20th. So that's tomorrow. And the solstice, the winter solstice here in the Northern Hemisphere, sorry, is on the 21st. I'll probably do a reading for that, but that's kind of tied in. So this is a very, very important new moon. There's a lot going on. Okay, I think I got everything. The solstice, if you're interested, is on the 21st at 10:03 a.m. Eastern Time in the U.S., and that's when the sun moves into Capricorn, which is ruled by Saturn. So there's that. Oops, I just picked up my... Okay, so I have drawn some The Wild Unknown Tarot by Kim Kranz. And then I drew some shadow cards. The shadow, what are they called? The Shadow Fates, I think. Tarot. And an oracle card from the Shaman's Dream. So let's see what we got. I think it reflects the energies. And then I felt moved to draw a clarifier. So, okay, let me write down the time when the tarot starts. Okay. Because some people want that. Okay, fine. So the first card I drew, now, to be fair, this was in the reverse. And first I was going to leave it, and then I thought, no, I'm not going to leave it. But I think it's both. I think it's both, because it is a wonky time, because there are so many outer planets that are in control right now. And we can be feeling a little lost. But this is, I think, the Sagittarius energy, where we're trying to find meaning and purpose. It will come, may not come overnight, but you will get glimmers of it. There is something running this show, believe it or not. I know. So we get the star, and this is our guiding. I marked one of these to read in this book because I just love the way she put it. Is it this one? Actually, I marked two. Something was put so beautifully. I think it was the star. No, it wasn't. Okay. Well, now I have three marked. Did I mark three? Yeah, I did mark the star. I thought so. Oh, it's interesting because she starts out the description, hope, and that would be my key word for this, and peace of mind. I'll just read this quickly. Standing outside on a dark night, you gaze up at the stars and sense glimmers of wonder and hope. Even though you can't find concrete answers to life's many questions up there in the sky, you can't help but feel comforted and renewed. Such is the energy of the star card. It is not about actions or situations. It's simply about connecting to the part of you that is hopeful and serene. This force will bring light back into your life and infuse you with positivity. Okay, we need that right now. And then I drew the Father of Cups, interestingly enough. And remember, he's very emotional, but he's okay with that. He's in tune with his emotions. He's also got a part of himself that's wounded. So I think that this is where we sail on and we become in control. I don't like that word. Comfortable with our emotional selves, even though the wounds are there. And especially now that they're kind of coming up with this Chiron square to Jupiter. And what did I say about Black Moon Lilith? What's she doing? No, she's opposite Uranus. Somebody else is interacting with... Oh, Venus is trining Chiron. So the wounds are coming up, but we've got this. We've got some help here with the star, and this is the Father of Cups, is the equivalent to the King. So even though there's some pain involved and processing some old wounds, we've got this. It's a good thing. It's a healing thing. And then could even be healing some father energy, some masculine energy. And then we get the Two of Swords. And in this deck, it's really a stalemate. It's less about choices and more about feeling stuck between two paths, neither of which seem to be working at the moment. And I feel like this is the Neptune-Saturn conjunction in Pisces, because they're so different. And it really is a time of pausing. And it's interesting, that's an eclipse, obviously, but the solstice literally means, sun standing still, which it doesn't do, but it appears to be. Because then in the northern hemisphere anyway, the days start getting longer. Yay. So again, we're betwixt and between. It's not a time to really take any really large steps or come to any great conclusions, but it's a time to listen and know that there is a track, and you may have two paths in front of you and neither one feels quite right. Just pause for a moment, and you know, it will come. And then we get the High Priestess. So this is a great time for tuning in to our feminine intuition, and, you know, letting the dark of the moon, that's a new moon. No, it isn't. That's a waning moon. So it's kind of like where the moon's been the last couple of nights when I've seen it. It's heading for a new moon. I mean, yeah, a new moon. Sorry. It throws me off because the new moon is dark. And I'm like, wait a minute. It's not there yet. It's there. Anyway, so this is about really tuning in and listening to what your intuition tells you. It's a very intuitive, the moon's always intuitive, and this one's particularly intuitive. And again, being flanked by Venus and Mars, you know, you could really get in touch with some desires right now. What do you want, you know, and who do you want to be with? What do you value? Very, very intuitive energy here. Very pausing and processing energy. And then I kind of felt like I needed a clarifier. I don't know why, but I just did. And I got the Mother of Cups. So we get the Father and the Mother of Cups. Interesting. When Jupiter's in Cancer, which rules our childhood, and Cancer is generally mother energy, but, you know, you might have been mothered by a father or a masculine, a male. I don't even know what to say these days. I'm sorry. I'm trying to be, you know, all-inclusive, but you know what I mean, I hope. So we get the Mother of Cups also. So it's about really integrating the feminine and the masculine into this new moon energy. So the emotions, you know, on both sides, the, you know, the mother influence, the father influence, the way you mother and father yourself, that's important right now. So she's very compassionate and nurturing, but she has a defensive side because she's a mother, and all mothers defend their young. So he's a healer, she's a defender. You know, the part of you that comes up that says, you know, I want to heal, and I'm not going to let people treat me like that anymore. I'm not going to go around, you know, bashing people, but I'm going to stand up for myself and be kind to myself, be compassionate, let myself heal. And then I drew three, why did I mark these? Two of Swords. Okay, I'm just going to read this Two of Swords description because it's a little bit different. Blocked vision, stalemate. The Two of Swords depicts two opposing forces that have reached a stalemate. You cannot progress forward with either a relationship or a life decision. There's an answer that's being blocked, maybe by choice. Many times this card will indicate you do not wish to face the truth the light will reveal. That's interesting. What else did I have marked in here? The High Priestess. The High Priestess sits in stillness. From there, she's able to access realms others pass by without noticing, the vast world of intuition, dreams, and mystery. She uses silence and non-action to harness this power. Sometimes this card appears to remind you to listen more closely to the voice within. Other times, it's a sign to look past the obvious, to find what's being kept secret or hidden within a given situation. Acknowledge the shadows. Okay. All right. Okay, so the shadow cards, we're going to acknowledge them right now. I get the Nine of Swords. I am not surprised. Yeah, you could be feeling some worry right now. We don't have, you know what? We have nothing in air signs, which rules thinking, except Pluto in Aquarius. Is that true? Yeah. Wow. Anyway, you could be plagued, you know, this is the, you know, the whirring thoughts, the anxiety thoughts. And this is borne out by the next card, which is the Page of Swords. I'm going to show you these last two because they go together. The Page of Swords and the Page of Pentacles. So I think this means two things, or a couple things, a few things maybe. First of all, childhood things are coming up, as I said, with Jupiter in Cancer and, you know, that squaring Chiron in Aries. So things are coming up regarding your identity, how your identity was formed. I see this as, you know, connecting with the way you thought as a child, the way you felt in your body as a child. And it also tells me that, like, what you think about, the way you think and what you choose to think about, how that affects what you get done in the physical. You know, our thoughts pretty much dictate what we do, and oftentimes how we feel physically. So this is a time to perhaps not only integrate maybe old childhood fears and maybe even childhood illnesses, I don't know, a way to look at those and say, you know what, how can I take a larger, broader perspective, which is Sagittarius. So the new moon in Sagittarius is about seeing and getting an overview. We don't want to be stuck in this, you know, childlike energy, but we also don't want to dismiss it or shame it or say that it's lesser than. It's important. It's important. But if we do, you know, integrate these energies and validate them and comfort them, then we can possibly get rid of this Nine of Swords worry cycle that we might be in. Okay, and then I pulled an oracle card from the Shaman's Dream, and I get Unmarked Trail Revelation, which I'm going to read to you because I'm not familiar with this deck much. Fairly new. Sounds interesting though. An unprecedented experience, discovery, revelation. You are called now to embark on a sacred journey. The Arthurian knights in their quest for the Holy Grail had to make sure to take an unmarked trail that no one had ever followed, or they would not accomplish their goal. Likewise, you must enter the darkest forest of your soul via a route as yet unidentified to find what you seek. The manicured paths will bring you only temporary pleasure and later great pain. Stop it. You already know there is no reward at the end of the road you are following. You are only killing time. Pause, breathe, and commit in your heart to a sacred endeavor. Vow to not look for old solutions that may have worked with past challenges. Get out of character, try the outrageous, and keep your quest private. Now is not the time to speak of the voice that called you to embark on the unmarked trail. That time will come. The unmarked trail can be a sign that you have already made a choice, even if you do not want to acknowledge it. That's interesting. Be at peace with what your heart knows to be true. Your heart has already been made up, and your mind will follow. Pack lightly, taking with you only essential beliefs that you know to be trustworthy under all circumstances. The universe has your back. That's interesting because when I did my last reading a few days ago, we got a different card. I don't remember the name of it now, but it also said to pack lightly. Remember? It said take only a few amenities with you. Okay. So it's a time for winnowing out what we no longer need. And Sagittarius loves truth and meaning. And hopefully this new moon will spark something that will help us find this unmarked trail. Funny, that doesn't look like a trail. It looks like a pile of stones that are... okay. Interesting. Kind of a, what do you call that? Like a mirror image. There's a word for that, but I'm fascinated by figure eights. And that kind of reminds me of one. Anyway, okay. All right, well, thank you so much for listening. Please hit the like, share, and subscribe buttons, and please leave me a comment. And happy new moon, everyone. I will talk to you later. Thank you for listening. Blessings. Good night. Oh, good day.